Canada is the second largest country on Earth. Most people hear that and nod. They know it's big. They've seen it on a map. But very few people ever stop to really think about what that means. Canada isn't just large compared to Europe. It isn't just large compared to Japan. Canada is large on a global scale. So large, in fact, that it could almost swallow the entire continent of Europe. And when people hear that, a natural assumption follows. A country that big should be full of people. It should have cities everywhere. It should have towns spreading outward over time. But that's not what happened. Canada has a population of just over 41 million people. That sounds like a lot, until you realize that it has only recently pulled ahead of the US state of California. One state, nearly the same population. And the strangest part is where those people live. Over 90% of Canadians live in a narrow strip right along the border with the United States. Not spread across the country, not evenly distributed. Compressed into a thin band near the south. If you look at a satellite image of North America at night, this reality becomes impossible to ignore. A bright ribbon of city lights traces the US-Canada border. Cities glow, highways shine, industry hums, and then suddenly it stops. North of that line, there is almost nothing. Just darkness, a colossal, silent void, stretching thousands of kilometers toward the Arctic. The obvious explanation is the one everyone gives. It's cold. And yes, it is cold, extremely cold. But that explanation doesn't survive closer inspection. Because other places on Earth are cold too. Russia has massive northern regions. Scandinavia stretches far into the Arctic Circle. Alaska exists. Yet none of them look like this. None of them are this empty. Which means cold alone cannot be the answer. The truth behind Canada's emptiness is much more complicated. It's a mix of extreme climate, impossible geology, history-defining decisions, and brutal economics, all working together, quietly, relentlessly, for centuries. So to understand why Canada is one of the largest and emptiest countries on Earth, we have to look far beyond the thermometer. Let's deal with the obvious problem first. Northern Canada is unimaginably cold, and not wear a jacket cold. This is cold that dictates life itself. For huge parts of the year, especially north of the 60th parallel, winter temperatures regularly plunge below -30 degrees Celsius. At those temperatures, machines fail. Metal becomes brittle. Human error becomes dangerous. But the cold does something even more important. It freezes the ground. Much of northern Canada sits on permafrost, soil that never fully thaws, not in summer, not during warm years, not even during heat waves. Roughly half of Canada's entire landmass is affected by it, and that creates a non-negotiable problem. You can't farm here. Farming requires time, warmth, reliable soil. Northern Canada offers none of those. The growing season is brutally short, sometimes less than 100 days. And even during that window, the soil works against you. When it's frozen, nothing grows. When it thaws, it turns into muskeg, a waterlogged swamp where machines sink and crops rot. This alone was enough to stop the agricultural boom that built southern Canada and the American Midwest. But here's the problem. That still isn't the full explanation, because other countries figured out how to live in cold places. Russia pushed millions into Siberia. Nordic countries support vibrant communities at similar latitudes. So if it's not just the cold, what's really stopping Canada? The answer isn't just in the air, it's in the ground. Beneath the forests and thin soil of over half of Canada lies one of the oldest geological formations on Earth, the Canadian Shield, an enormous mass of ancient Precambrian rock, scraped clean by glaciers over billions of years. What's left is a rugged landscape of exposed bedrock, endless lakes, very little topsoil, and almost no flexibility. For settlers, the Shield was a dead end. You can't plow rock. You can't easily build on it. Roads are expensive. Railways are worse. Every kilometer costs more than the last. And while the Shield dips into parts of Ontario and Quebec, its dominance in the north makes large-scale development nearly impossible. When you look at Canada's population map, you're not just seeing climate, you're seeing geology. An invisible wall pushing settlements south and west, funneling people toward the prairies, keeping cities away from the north. The Shield didn't just shape the land, it shaped the nation. Geography pushed people south. History made it permanent. Early European settlement in Canada followed water, not land. The St. Lawrence River became the country's first superhighway. French explorers pushed inland along it. Cities like Quebec City formed early. This established an east-to-west pattern that never went north. When Canada officially formed in 1867, the goal was clear: populate the prairies, farm the land, build an agricultural powerhouse. Immigrants were recruited for this exact purpose. The North, with its rock and ice, was never part of the plan. Even when people rushed north, it was temporary. The Klondike Gold Rush created boom towns, not cities. People came to get rich, and then they left. The North became defined by extraction, not settlement, and that boom and bust pattern never changed. As southern cities grew, Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, they developed gravity, jobs, universities, culture. Immigrants followed opportunity, and opportunity was always in the South. Each decade made the imbalance worse. History sets the pattern. Economics locks it in stone. Over 90% of Canadians live near the US border for one simple reason: trade. The United States is Canada's largest trading partner, by far. Being close to that market means jobs, industry, growth. The northern economy is different, fragile, almost entirely dependent on resources: diamonds, gold, oil, gas. When prices fall or mines close, jobs disappear, and there is no backup economy to absorb the shock. The cost of living makes everything worse. Food is flown in, fuel is shipped in. Basic goods cost 2 to 3 times more than in the South. The North is rich in resources, yet its people face some of the highest poverty rates in the country. It's expensive because few people live there, and few people live there because it's expensive, even if someone wants to live in the North. Infrastructure stands in the way. Most communities have no permanent roads. Many are fly-in only. Ice roads exist for a few weeks each year, and climate change is making even those unreliable. Permafrost is a ticking time bomb. As it thaws, Buildings slump, roads crack, runways warp. Infrastructure that already struggled now actively fails. Housing shortages worsen. Repairs never end. Governments hesitate to invest billions for small populations. And without investment, populations never grow. So when you look at that vast, dark space on the map, you're not seeing emptiness. You're seeing forces at work. Climate that kills farming. Geology that rejects cities. History that push people south. And economics that keep them there. Canada's emptiness isn't a failure. It's an identity. The country is defined as much by its wild north as its southern cities. And while climate change and future demand may test that balance, the obstacles remain immense. So the real question isn't whether the north can be filled. It's whether geography will ever allow it. What do you think is the single biggest factor? Climate, geology, economics, or something else entirely? Let me know in the comments.